Hi team, welcome to your sort of introduction to Power BI for business intelligence training. So hopefully you've obviously found this video. In terms of what we're going to kind of introduce, it's very much an introduction to the program and the various things that it can do, the various types of the program. We're going to leverage one that will allow both Mac and PC people to kind of work on the same kind of footing. And then just the various things that honestly you've already seen a lot of in Tableau already, and I think they're a little easier to connect now that you've already seen it and leveraged it, because I don't love this as a first training because there's just a lot of things going on and it's hard to kind of take in. But as you kind of transition, at least from having seen a lot of this stuff in Tableau, you'll see kind of the differences that we go through. In terms of what you're going to submit, so it'll be a certificate of completion. I'll show you an example here in a little bit. Please review our learning management system for the assigned due date. It'll be included in here once you actually see this video. All right, let's just jump into the overview. So for the assignment, you're going to be stepping into the role of a data analyst who's just received an important directive from your manager. Your company's senior analytics manager, Sarah Chen, has announced that the organization has secured enterprise licenses for Microsoft Power BI and needs the entire analytics team to really develop a proficiency in this platform. And up to this point, you've been utilizing Excel and Tableau, but now kind of joining that Microsoft suite and kind of hopefully connecting with the rest of the company, we need to learn Power BI. And so the increasing demand from stakeholders, from self-service analytics to real-time dashboards, has made it really critical for the analytics team to develop proficiency across a bunch of different visualization platforms. Power BI's integration with a lot of the Microsoft ecosystem and its cost-effective licensing model sort of made it an essential tool for the department's group strategy, and a lot of firms leverage this. And so to get things started, your firm has, quote unquote, assigned a training to you. We're going to leverage DataCamp and a training called the Introduction to Power BI. This training will build your foundational competency in the platform and prepare you for an upcoming sort of set of client deliverables. And your manager has emphasized, hey, it's a perfectly aligned training for the current data visualization projects that you're going to be kind of leveraging. In terms of what it'll allow the team to do, respond more quickly to ad hoc analytical requests from the business unit, leverage the current Microsoft infrastructure for business intelligence solutions, provide stakeholders with self-service analytics capabilities, and just expand our offerings to Power BI to our clients. The training directly supports the department's strategic initiative to become platform agnostic data visualization experts. Right? Throughout our lectures, we're going through those key concepts, and you'll see a lot of those things discussed in the training, especially because you'll get reintroduced to a lot of the common visuals, and you'll see how easy they are to build in Microsoft Power BI. So in terms of required materials, I'm assuming everyone has the required technologies here, but I do have that document. And then the new piece is you're going to have access to our data visualization page on DataCamp. And so you should, right, be able to leverage this link when you get it, and it's going to load up something like this. All right, now I'm going to, let's see, I'll log out really quick. What you'll need to do is, if you've never used DataCamp, it'll load something of this nature. If you haven't ever used an account, please create your account. So you'll do this and do get started. If you already have an account, it has to be through the University of Arizona. So the only people that get access to this are those people that register with an Arizona.edu campus. That's how I get this thing to you for free. And so get your account, make sure you kind of have it leveraged and connected to, again, your University of Arizona account. All right, and we'll kind of log in here. I already have my stuff saved. All right, once you get into here, yours is again going to look a little different from mine. There's no way for me to go into kind of a student mode here. But what you'll do is you'll go into this assignments tab, and then you'll see a bunch of different courses that we have in here. A couple of these are really long, so these are different tracks that you can do if you want. For us, all that you're going to do right now is this introduction to Power BI, right? These will be either later in the semester or optional if you want to go beyond. All right, so what you'll need to ultimately submit is you'll go to view your page. You'll download this statement of accomplishments. I'll open it up. It looks something like this. So this is what you're going to save and submit to the D2L page. If you want to go and get additional kind of credentialing here, once you're back on this page, if you want some CPE credits, you can go into the assessment here. I don't know why it doesn't get you directly in there, but you go to Power BI and you could start the exam and do that. That's not needed for us, but you can, and it's just an extra set of credentialing that you can use as you go through. So I want to talk about just a few things that you'll want to be careful of, especially if you're a Mac user using this. Number one, if you're a PC user, you'll see when you go in here, it'll give you the option to download Power BI Desktop and then download the exercises and data sets. And I'll have this on our learning management system directly under this. If you're a Mac person, you cannot use this. But if you're someone that wants to download the program and use it on your computer, you can complete it. You will just still follow the steps that it goes through. So you'll see here a bunch of the exercises and things of that nature. But just being kind of careful. And so I'm going to go in, like how this thing is set up is if you'll go here, generally it's very much like a 2 to 3 minute video that you'll kind of listen to. You can also show the transcript if you want. I watched it on double speed. That kind of bit me in the butt a couple times. I would follow it very closely because if you miss things, it's hard to get kind of caught up. And then what you'll have to do here is sometimes it'll give us some basic questions. Clean structure, connected data sources, create reports. It doesn't do that. There, yeah. What you'll then want to do is once you get into kind of the do it yourself, what's going to load here is kind of like a virtual machine. So if you're on a Mac or a PC, it'll look like you're working on a PC. And so this bar here is going to be very, very important because it talks about like what you're going to do and then the instructions. How these things will start, especially if you're going to stop and go. I recommend trying to maybe do it in 2 sittings. It doesn't take 4 hours. If you're kind of following close to me, I think it took me maybe 2 hours and 20 minutes. But most of the time it is prepared for you. It's going to download quite a bit of things with you. You'll go to next. There are some confusing things where it's like close the empty report file, which is what you have. How you close things in Power BI is just close the X, and then it takes you to kind of this browser here, and it's kind of showing you like where things are. And so there's 2 different things that you'll kind of see in the exercises folder. These are Power BI like shells. It's kind of like Tableau. You can download a shell and work off of it. It also has this data sets where it actually has like these different types that you're going to be using. Some of these are CSV files, some of them are Excel files. But just note that. And so when you move to like another chapter, it's going to have you close these things and then open a new one, right? So it's saying go there and load. And I just want to talk about a few small things within the program that are a little bit confusing, or that I found a little bit confusing when I worked through it, just so you're kind of prepared. Number one, it is very similar to Tableau in that it does like to think and load slowly. So take your time, let it go through and do that. And then you'll see like it walks you through maybe half of the things, and the other things it's going to ask you to use kind of common sense, intuition to figure out where to go in and work with things. And you'll see this thing does kind of load, so it takes kind of a little bit of time. I'm also working off my home internet, which is kind of slow. Similar to Tableau in that it's got all these pages on the bottom. How it's a little bit different is kind of the things that we typically use are on the right hand side rather than the left hand side. And how we look at things, like where they're linked up, are over here. So you'll see this in here, but like the report view is this, right? It's the dashboarding. If we're thinking about like we want to look at the data like in an Excel spreadsheet, you'll see table view. When it's talking about like linking data up, which a lot of this, if it has multiple times, it will link it up. There is some preparatory stuff here where it shows you how to bring in additional files and stuff of that nature. You're not going to use this DAX query view. I'll have an optional training on that kind of later. So you'll have this piece. It makes sure you're kind of looking at everything. You can do the full screen button down here. You've got kind of like the Excel zoom in, zoom out stuff you can kind of mess around with. Going through, and then remember like the filter cards and then the show me. So here we have filters where it's going to kick in and kick out. Same thing with visuals. I think this is a little more actually user friendly. It's hard with this training. I don't love that you don't even know what data you're working with. I wish it would go through there a little more. And then the different Excel files that it has, similar to Tableau, as you actually see this, you can click and then see all the variables. I highly recommend getting comfortable with this search bar, because as this thing will build, you're going to link in like 3, 4, 5 different Excel or CSV files, and trying to figure out where stuff is, it's going to get a little bit harder. So a lot of times I was going through and searching those kind of pieces. Then across the top, it's kind of like a traditional Microsoft piece there, which is really nice. And then a lot of these like little questions. This is how you're going to kind of make sure you kind of proceed through. It will take you back to the video if you're not sure, but you can go through, and a lot of this is just sorting through things, and it's kind of old school in that sense. Which, did I miss a step here? What was the total? Oh, the name of this company. So sometimes it's not very good in terms of like what it's actually asking for. Like, how am I supposed to know this is Worldwide Importers? Because the training doesn't tell me that until later. But you can see it's just taking stuff like this. Always be careful of kind of the formatting and stuff of that nature. I think those are the big pieces. I'll let the training do the rest of it. Again, make sure you go through, you get that certificate of completion, and this is, or not this, it's not this, it's this here. It should be your name that matches D2L or Brightspace. Plus it's just an accomplishment that you have that feel free to put on LinkedIn and stuff of that nature if you really want. If you run into questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Again, there were some times where I was kind of stumped on this, especially later on when you're like, how do I find a file? So where it's saving things. So another one of those may be if you need to go to the File tab. I don't care about this. I'm going to minimize this. A lot of times you can go to Open, and then it actually downloads stuff on your device. So you can browse this device, and you'll see that there's actually kind of like, I think if I go back, it's where that like Tableau repository actually puts things too. But you'll see all of these kind of different pieces. So you'll go often in here. Just make sure when you do open, don't freak out if you don't see it recent. You'll go browse this device, and it should be, you're always going to open stuff either from data sets or from exercises. This is the big one. So like if you're like, I need to stop after chapter 2.2, it'll say, hey, please reload this Tableau file. So you don't lose progress in that way. Otherwise, I think it works pretty well. And if you have questions, let me know. Thank you.